Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zepp, and today we are reacting to the song Stockholm Syndrome. We are reacting to a cover, actually. It's not the original Stockholm Syndrome by Muse. This is the one that is by the band ERRA. I think that's how you pronounce them. I could be wrong in that. I apologize. Now, before we get into this reaction, something I want to put out there is that I have heard over half of this song already. And it was when listening to it, I wasn't going to make a video on it. And it was when listening to it, I thought, no, do you know what? I'm going to save the rest of it and do a reaction because there's some things in here I want to talk about with the song. So I'm not going to let you know whether I like it or dislike it yet. You know, we'll give you at least some reason to watch through the reaction to the song. But I just thought there was interesting things that were worth talking about in the cover. Again, we've been going through this in this reaction journey, what we've been listening to lately a lot of the time has brought us down the road of metal music, and this song definitely feels like it's added a more metal element to arguably one of the most metal inspired songs by Muse. It's like it pulled it out of that hard rock / metal place, as you would call it, and put it like slap bang in the middle of metal music. So it is interesting. I want to talk about it. I don't want this video to run super long, so we're going to get into it. We're going to probably do 2 pauses, trying to avoid copyright as best as we can. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. ERRA, Stockholm Syndrome. Also, yeah, a warning for seizures and stuff if people are watching the first time through here. Turn it up a bit for you guys. Such a nice guitar tone that as well. I like what the drums are doing too. Phenomenal vocalists as well. I'm going to throw the first pause there because we're going into some negatives. People who know me or know the negatives I'm going to speak about soon, but I want to talk about the positive first off. If you're to take this song just in terms of the mix compared to the original, it's way better. And I think that's just because of the time it was recorded, the way it sound, like the way recordings are done now are way better than they were even 15 or nearly 20 years ago. I'd say actually this album came out, I think, is it 2005? So we're not far off 20 years. The Absolution album I'm talking about, if I went off on a trail there, the album that the original Stockholm Syndrome by Muse is on, in terms of just like the mix, this already sounds way better. The drums are way more clear. The guitar is class. The lead vocalist, they are amazing. Actually, I don't know if it's a woman or a man. I think I saw someone say before that it was a woman. I was under the original impression it was a man. Again, I know pretty much nothing about the band or anything, so I wasn't sure. So do, again, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. But the vocals are stunning. Really, really good. Like, such power to them. They really do a good job, I think, and even just so far from listening, of like turning it metal, but really holding true to the original. You know, it's like, it's in a way it pays homage while being new enough to pull itself just slightly into a different genre, which I find very interesting. But let's keep going with it anyway. I love how heavy it gets in this part. hits so well. Alright, I'm going to throw a second pause in there. The pauses are a bit erratic, I know. I just want to talk about things when they come up. Again, the vocals are absolutely stunning, like really stunning. They really, really impress me. Again, I'm not a fan of the growling at all, the growling singing. It is used relatively sporadically, but the song would be way, I think, higher in... I'd have a way higher regard for the song if it wasn't for the growling. And people have asked me before, and it's probably a good point to talk about it, because again, I reacted to a Nightwish song recently enough, and the Nightwish fans seem very, very protective. And one person was asking, I was like, well, why are you reacting to metal if you don't like it? It just looks like you're trying to rob views. And I get that as well. And yes, I'm playing a game to a certain extent, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to kid you on that. Like, of course, I know this stuff does, some of that, like those bands and reactions do well. That's a motivating factor. But one thing to consider with that is those bands as well, they also don't get monetized, those bands. So I'm getting views, but I don't get paid anything from them. I get paid more from getting 1,000 views less on another band, but they let the monetization through. So it's not a money thing. And then second of all, when it comes to metal music, so I have two things I hate in metal music, and they're one of my least favorite things in music, is aggressive growling singing and an abuse of the double kick drum. But growling in certain instances when you can actually hit a key is cool, and the double kick drum used sporadically is cool. And everything else in metal music, in terms of how it's done, for the most part, I not just like, I love. I really enjoy the majority of elements in these genres, bar those two elements. And those two elements are just extremely off-putting for me. That's why I've always been kind of more around just the hard rock genre. Like, that's where I'd have primarily listened to music, which is how I got into Muse, you know, the heavier Muse stuff. But there's a lot of really cool things that I was missing out on in metal music because of my grievances for those other things. And one of the cool things about doing the reactions and trying to explore new areas of music was to decide to myself, right, well, I know I'm going to go into this and not like certain things, but I'm hoping what I'll get out of it is something that I enjoy the positives of way more than I'm displeased by the negatives of, if that makes sense. So, you know, when I listen to bands like these and there's growls like, oh, you're listening to another band that does growling, but you don't like growling, you're just here to ridicule it and take your views. It's like, I'm always going to stand true to what I don't like. I'm not going to hide that. But I also want to enjoy the positives in this type of music, which there is a lot of. So I'm going to continue to react to it, and there'll be some where there'll be barely any positives, and it'll be mostly negatives for me, because it'll just be double kick drum non-stop and only growling, and I'll say I don't like it. But that's the risk you take when trying to expand your horizons when it comes to listening to music. You know, it's what happens. It's not saying to you guys in general. Again, a lot of you guys coming in to watch this one might be newer viewers. It's more so just as a general thing to say to people who just kind of sit and listen to my reactions more on the regular, so people just understand my perspective more when it comes to listening to music, because I think a lot of new people come in, they haven't seen other videos, and they're wondering why I'm doing this when I've already explained it in a video previous, which is completely fine. But every now and then I just like to make people aware of my thought process when it comes to things like these. But that was a big rant. We're going to keep listening to this, and we're probably only going to do one more pause, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Really like the drumming in this. The synth scale from the original is being redone on a guitar as well, which sounds really cool. The fact they've turned this bit into a halftime breakdown was really cool. Yeah, that breakdown is really cool. Like, one of my least favorite parts of the original Stockholm Syndrome song is the breakdown. I find the breakdown just a bit tedious on, like, after loads of listens. I've listened to the original hundreds of times. I always find myself, if I'm like if I want to get what I want out of a song, I'll sometimes skip that bit just because I've heard it so much. So what they've done there, I think, has made it way more interesting, and I really, really enjoy it. I really dig the song, and even what I was saying in there, I don't know if you could hear me, it depends on how the audio has been balanced. But the synth, there's a synth sound that goes up during the chorus, a synth scale, and in this, they've replicated it on a guitar. Now, it's slightly low in the mix. If you really want to be nitpicky, you'd want it a little higher in the mix, because it's a good bit higher in the mix in the original, and it really adds a lot to the chorus. But regardless, the fact that they've added that in shows that not only do they like the original song, but they understand the original song, the way it was built and why it was done like that, and were able to incorporate it into the way that they were doing it to, again, do something new by doing it on a guitar, to kind of incorporate it into that more metal sound, but are also kind of doing it to pay homage to the intricacies of the original. And Muse are very, very good at adding in their intricate little details, and that's probably where a lot of cover artists would, these aren't cover artists, people who would decide to do Muse covers would maybe miss out on the intricate details because they maybe like the music, but they might appreciate, but they don't fully have a grasp on the depth of production that will go into a lot of the stuff that Muse would do. But what they've done in this is really show a knowledge of the production, which again makes it stand up way, way higher in my mind. But let's run this out now till the end, and I'll give you my final thoughts, which will be brief because I know we're running this video long. I apologize. See, to go double kick drum there, very good choice. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Stockholm Syndrome by ERRA. Really, really cool song. The people who know me, and again, if you don't know me, you can tell by what's on the back of my goddamn walls. I'm a massive Muse fan. All those vinyls, all those posters are deluxe editions of the Drones album, the Simulation Theory album, and I have the Origin of Symmetry 20-year anniversary vinyls just waiting to go up on the wall as well. I have them here. So I'm a massive Muse fan, and they are my favourite band, and I will always be aware that I'll have a bias towards them. But in saying that, I think a lot of the elements in this cover, a lot of them, from sound to the way it was sung to the way it pays homage to the original by therefore making it intricately well produced, I would say it's better. A lot of the elements are better than the original. Now, would I say it's completely better than the original? Studio version wise, I'd say yes, but live, I'd say no. And the reason I'd say no is because, again, just the growling. I'm not a fan of the growling whatsoever. It takes me out of it a bit too much. But what I would say is that I'd listen to these two songs in different moods, which again is really cool because it makes them stand out. It's not like, yeah, this is good, but I'll just listen to a live version of the original, you know, that's where I'll get my kicks from. It's like, no, I could listen to the live version of the original, and then I'd want to listen to this one too, for different reasons, you know, and I think that's what makes it really, really cool. It's the first cover I have heard in a long time that has just made me sit there and think, wow, these are some artists. Like, you know, I've heard covers before and I've enjoyed them. Again, The Warning done some covers, Metallica covers, I enjoyed them. I was surprised by them, I enjoyed them. But the last person who I ever really listened to who really, really intrigued me by their covers was ERRA, and I'm now going to see ERRA live in a couple of weeks. That shows how much her music grew on me and from getting into her through her covers. And it could be the same with this band. I'd like to hear more from them and see what they're like, because other than the growling, I really, really like it. The vocalist is phenomenal. They have an interesting sound. I mean, if they like this style of music, I presume that a lot of their music would have similar stylistic choices, like this one that I'd maybe interested in. And yeah, I just really, really like it. I think if I was to give this out of 10, comparing it to the original, like the original would definitely be up there, like a 9.2, 9.3. It's one of Muse's best songs. I think I am happy to give this song a 9. I think for the most part it builds on what the original did, and while it has little faults, do you know what the best way to describe it? It's like if they remade the Scarface now, like the movie that came out, was it 70s or 80s, that Scarface. It's like, even though it could be, if they managed to do it better in a lot of ways, there'd be something that would draw you back to the original, just because of maybe the time it's made, the way it's shot. And I think that's how I'd feel about this, is that no matter how much I would have liked this, there's just something so unique about the original. But my God, I do like this song. But before we finish this, please let me know what you thought of this video and what you think of this song and what you'd like me to react to next. So make sure to leave a comment. And while you're down there leaving a comment and scrolling back up, you might see a little subscribe button. Why don't you click it? It would help me out a lot. I'd really appreciate it. And you get to see the videos I'm putting out on this channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you go down to the description, you will find my other 2 YouTube channels, my Twitch channels, and all my other social media, where you can catch all of my content. Make sure to leave a like in this video as well. And I hope to see you back for the next one. Take care. Have a good one. Peace.